Welcome back to Wireless and Weird. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the Klay Thompson-Giannis Antetokounmpo trade.
So this trade has not been an official saying in the NBA, but it has been a rumor that's been going around the media. So right off the bat, what's your first thoughts?
Well, it's not like Klay Thompson. It's Klay Thompson and Andrew Wiggins, right?
Yeah.
So hear me out. The Warriors have gotten the best record because of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson.
Yeah.
You can't give credit to, like, I don't know, any other players like Andre Iguodala, Draymond Green. It was mostly them two, right?
Yeah.
So who knows with better players, right? Because Steph Curry and Giannis Antetokounmpo are obviously better players than Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, right?
Yeah.
But it's not only about being better players; it's also having good chemistry.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Steph Curry and Klay have probably the best or one of the best chemistries in NBA history.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean,
because I'll be honest, Klay Thompson isn't that like he's a Hall of Famer for sure, but he's not that like top 20 player like Stephen Curry is, right?
I wouldn't even say that he's a Hall of Famer. He might not like. I would say that he's a pretty good player, but I mean, he's not one of those guys that's like, he's automatically in, right? There's some players that like there's a chance he might not make it in, right? But
yeah, okay. But Giannis is still better right now.
Yeah.
And Steph Curry and Klay Thompson will probably have better chemistry than Steph Curry and Giannis Antetokounmpo will have, right?
Yeah, but like it's
yeah.
okay. It's okay to have the better player. I mean, it's like, they might have some better chemistry together. You take a guy that's as good as Giannis, like, it's just that his talent, like, although his talent might not be used at full force, because like you said, they need, like, they're not going to might not have the best chemistry.
And they have to share the ball a lot.
Yeah, but
because Steph is a scorer and Giannis is a huge scorer also.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean, they like just because, Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson work well together doesn't mean if Giannis joins the team with Steph Curry, doesn't mean Giannis is going to be bad. He might be better than Klay Thompson, but if Giannis stays where he is at the Bucks, I think he'll be getting more out of it. He'll be playing some better games because, like you said, both of those guys, Steph Curry and Giannis, they take the ball out. They're big scorers. But when you take those two guys together, it might have a weird outcome and it might not work 100%, but it still might be better for the Warriors.
Well, maybe, because look, think about it like this. Do you think if you put Steph Curry and Giannis Antetokounmpo on a team, they would have 3 championships and the best record in NBA history?
I don't know. I mean, when it comes to best record in NBA history, I feel like they might win some more games, but I still think they would still have those championships. I think that with Giannis on the Warriors, which, I don't think is going to happen personally because, it's hard to trade an MVP like that. But if this happens, him and Steph Curry together, even though you might not see it because obviously it's never really happened before, it might be an unbeatable team.
It happened a little in last year's All-Star game.
Well, yeah, but it's like the All-Star is kind of weird because you don't really get to see everyone's full potential. And
yeah.
I just think if these guys were together going full out, it's a team that I would like to see and I think would actually work well together.
I think it would be a good team, like probably top 4 seeds, but it wouldn't win a championship in my opinion.
Yeah, okay. You wouldn't think it would win a championship. So you're telling me the chemistry between Curry and Klay Thompson has been the thing that's been winning them championships.
Yeah, and their talent also, because that chemistry and their talent has won them 3 championships in the best record in NBA history.
See their talent though. Let's put it forward so far as least what I think is that I think Giannis is a bit better than Klay Thompson, right? I agree with you on that. Right? He's got some better skills, and although their chemistry might not be 100%, these teams they're going to be practicing a bunch. They're going to be really working together, especially that the Warriors aren't going to be playing for the rest of the season. Mm-hmm. It's going to be they're going to come into this new season, and if this happens, which, like I said, it probably won't, that's going to be a lot of time where Giannis and Curry can really get together and practice because a big thing that Steve Kerr is going to want is he's going to want Stephen Curry and Giannis to be that perfect duo. Because
Yeah.
if the point is, if Klay Thompson and Curry, if Curry can have that same chemistry with him and Giannis, that's a better team.
That's like that's the championship team.
But see, that's a big gamble that, that's something a team might not want to take, because
it's too much of a risk.
Not to mention the big players are throwing off. They're throwing out 2 players, possibly a trade, which, possibly a draft pick, which can be super big. But, it's just –
it's a draft pick. It's not –
I mean, the draft pick could still bring you a lot, but who knows, right? It can go really backfire in their face. It could really change their team in a really bad way that they can't really afford right now.
Yeah. So moving on to the Bucks side of the trade, because we were talking about how the Warriors might have an upset or like a win in that situation, but the Bucks. Personally, in my opinion, I think it's going to be a lose for the Bucks also.
Yeah.
Because Klay Thompson and Andrew Wiggins are all good players, right?
Yeah.
But they aren't like MVP type Giannis players.
I mean, here's the thing. Giannis, he's the kind of leader of that team. And you got Chris Middleton, but, he ain't that kind of leader. But I think you look at his, you look at his build. Giannis is a big guy, always driving. That's the kind of leader that every team has. And just to lose that kind of guy, it's always weird for that team, because that's when the team just like drops, right? When they don't have that one guy, they don't really get too far. And I think Klay Thompson could actually be that guy though, but he might not be as good as, that leader as Giannis could be. So I think that, they're not going to have as good as a leader as Giannis. Okay. It's going to be really hard for the Bucks to replace that. But with Andrew Wiggins also on their team, I mean, and you bring Klay Thompson, that's a good shooting team right there. And this just might be one of those teams that's not always in the paint, right? And some of those, it's okay to have some of those teams, right? Mm-hmm. So I think
it's going to be filled with our guard. It's going to be filled with all guards. You have Klay Thompson, Eric Bledsoe, Chris Middleton, Andrew Wiggins. Those are all point guard shooting guards, right?
Yeah.
How are you going to distribute that?
I know.
You know what I mean?
I think, okay, if the Bucks can pull a good draft pick, take a really good center, right? Take a good center out of college, because there are good centers out of college. Don't get me wrong. They get
DeAndre Ayton.
What?
Good. DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah, I mean, but of course
he was a good pick.
Yeah, but people, but of course if they want that good of a center, he's probably waiting to be taken, knowing how far down the Bucks trade is going to be. I don't think if the Bucks can pull out a good center, right? Of course, not as good as a big guy.
It's a lottery.
Yeah, but if they take it and then they get the Warriors trade, because that might be what they want to put forward, right? That might also be the trade for the Warriors. If they can get first or second pick, which is what the Warriors would have gotten, because they're trading draft picks, that means that there's a good chance that the Bucks could pull out a good center. And if that's possible, then it seems like it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to pull out, that trade.
Moving on, the NBA has announced that their league will reopen on July 31st, but it's going to look a little bit different.
Yeah, so for example, not all teams are coming back. 22 teams are going to be playing, and these are teams that have a chance or a shot at making the playoffs.
So it's going to be the top 16 teams in the playoffs.
Of course.
And then adding on to that, they're going to have 8 regular season games for these 6 teams to potentially maybe make the playoffs. And these teams are going to be the Trailblazers, the Pelicans, the Kings, the Spurs, the Suns, and the Wizards.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like a good setup.
In those 8 games, all those 6 teams have a chance to make the playoffs.
And then also the teams that are already in the playoffs are going to try to get that higher seed. Because, some of these teams obviously don't really deserve the seed that they're in now, but maybe that can change.
So a few videos ago, we talked about how Damian Lillard said he wasn't going to play in the season, right?
Yeah.
If it reopened. And then there was a vote on Thursday about if the 30 teams agreed that the season should reopen,
Yeah.
And the Blazers said they shouldn't, which was the only team that said that.
Yeah, I think that's kind of, what the message Damian Lillard was setting in the beginning, that I feel like he was just a bit sore. Like, the team was trying to, relate to their star player, Damian Lillard. And I
Mhm.
think they were like him, not the best sport about this, I feel like they're a
I
bit of
get it.
sore losers.
But it's not only sore losers. Like, if you don't have a big chance of making the playoffs and it's like a risk, maybe there's kind of no point.
Look, if these other teams were scared about, the same idea that you just said, I don't think the Kings should have said it either. Some of these other teams shouldn't have said it either. If they knew that there was no high chance they were going to make it in, then why would they even go? But they still went anyways
Well,
because they knew there might be little shot, and they
I know,
weren't
but it's
worrying too
different. It's
much.
different because at the beginning of the season, the Blazers were almost starting to make the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Got injured, right? So it's like the Blazers were kind of meant to make the playoffs and they didn't, and they're kind of mad about that. But the other teams behind them, like the Spurs, the Kings, those teams, now they have like a chance because at the beginning of the season they weren't like 100% expecting to make the playoffs.
Well, that's exactly what a sore loser is. If your players are injured and they're out, so that means you don't have the best team, and you're blaming that, and you're saying, "Oh, that's why we're not making the playoffs." That's another thing to make be sore about.
Yeah,
They're
okay.
being sore losers about this, and I think they should have been, normal teams say yes, we'll do it. Get all the entertainment back up and working, and that's what they should have done, and they didn't do it. It gave them that kind of look, but at the same time, it was pretty much, every other team voted yes, so they were
Yeah,
kind of that outlier, and
there are numbered.
you
Mhm.
take that into votes of a bunch of things. If you're the only guy doing it, you should might as well just go with the crowd, because you might be trying to say that you're that voice, but at the other time, that's making other teams not really like you so much. It's
Mhm.
kind of like they would have benefited more if they just said yes, let's reopen it. Wrap it up for this video of Wireless Interview. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Also, comment on other topics we can talk about next. Thanks for watching. See you next time.